welcome to another Facebook Live episode with me, Big B, the anti-lawyer lawyer. Last week, I did my analysis on the Uber fatality accident that happened in Tempe, March 18th. Fast forward 12 days, Uber has entered into a settlement with the heirs of the lady who passed away. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about why they settled so quickly. And then I'm also going to talk about settlement of motor vehicle accident cases in general, because usually that's one of the hotly asked questions clients ask of me. So the Uber fatality accident that happened, we know that Uber entered into a settlement. We don't know the value of that settlement because more likely than not, it was a confidential settlement. There's no reason why Uber would want the value of that settlement out or the facts and circumstances. So I'm sure all the parties entered into a settlement, and within that settlement there was a confidentiality agreement that was part of it. I got to imagine that it involved multiple millions of dollars for something to happen that quickly within 12 days. It had to have been for a high amount. So why would Uber do that? Well, the number one reason why Uber would have done it would have been the bad publicity. So we know just locally Uber was getting hit tough. Governor Ducey went out and indicated that he wanted all of those AVs off the road. That's something Uber did on its own. But they were just getting hit constantly from CNN to local media outlets, really coming down hard for good reason, because obviously the accident happened and a lady passed away. And that's something as a society we don't want to happen. So the settlement doesn't make it go essentially silent, but it's going to take some of the attention off of it. And for the AV community in general, that's something that they would have wanted, because they want that to evolve and become obviously more and more popular, because as in any business, that is going to help profits. And that kind of drives us to the number two reason of why it settled is facts. And the reason why I say facts is because before a lawsuit's filed, we call that pre-litigation. There's no obligation on any of the parties pursuant to any law, rule, or like that requires the parties to exchange information. So going back to my analysis last week when I said the accident was unavoidable, but if there was going to be a theory of liability, it was going to be a products liability sort of case, meaning the technology on the car, on that Volvo that Uber would have put on, would not have been the best technology. So the way to kind of look at it would be that maybe they chose the Honda Accord version of radar to detect these different dangers or hazards, and they should have picked the Bugatti. And they would have done that obviously for financial reasons. So they went onto the shelf and they said, listen, let's just pick the medium level of radar and safety technology as opposed to the best stuff out there. The best stuff out there was probably less available and more expensive, so they went for the more available and less expensive version. And I'm sure that's what happened, and that's why they wanted to wrap it up, because if a lawsuit would have been filed, then the meat of a lawsuit is what we call the discovery phase. That's the part where the rules of evidence and the civil rules of civil procedure require the parties to exchange information. Now, if that would have happened, then Uber would have had to turn over paperwork as it relates to the decisions made on choosing the technology and the knowledge that they had as it relates to better technology. I'm assuming, I think it's a fair assumption, that that would have been bad publicity for them. Again, going back to factor one, then they wanted to sidestep that. So they probably paid a premium for the settlement and they got it done quickly. And they're hoping now that this allows them to move forward, because if it would have continued, it would have just continued to stifle the evolution of AVs in general. Not that this isn't, but if it would have continued, it would have stayed a hot topic, and I think it just would have stifled that to some degree. So the other thing that questions, or the other popular question that gets asked is, what goes into the settlement of a case? I think there's four main factors that go into the settlement of the case that relate to not only the value of the settlement, but how fast the case can settle. And we're going to see the parallels with this Uber situation. So the first factor you need is you need good facts. So good facts in a case can come in many shapes and forms, but let's just look at a regular motor vehicle accident, a rear end accident that is really common. And in that, the photos of the vehicles play a huge part. So if the photo of the rear of that bumper, say you're the person who gets rear-ended, and your rear bumper shows a scratch or very minimal damage, not going to be good for your settlement. It's not going to settle quick. It's not going to settle for it all. And if it does settle, it's going to be settled for peanuts. Conversely, if the rear of your car looks like an accordion, then that's going to be a factor that comes into play as it relates to an easier case to settle and a case that'll settle for a higher dollar amount. Number two, what you need obviously is you need some law on your side. So again, sticking with the rear end accident case, those cases all essentially revolve around the same element of law, which is negligence. Negligence has 4 elements: duty, breach, causation, damages. So every driver that's on the road owes a duty to everyone else on the road and citizens in general to drive in a safe manner and not put anybody in danger. That duty is breached when they rear end another vehicle. And then when that rear end causes injuries, then you have a case. So again, you can see how that obviously has to play on your side or you wouldn't be able to bring the action at all. Then number 3, you need a good lawyer. So a good lawyer is a lawyer that actually goes to the big dance. I always akin it to, listen, if you're gonna have someone fight for your behalf, say like a Game of Thrones situation, you're gonna want someone not only who trains hard and is in the gym and practicing their skill, but then someone who also takes it out to the battlefield, so to speak. I would never want someone fighting on my behalf that we call him like a gym champion. Looks really good in the gym, but then he gets into a fight and he gets his ass handed to him. You don't want that. Same thing when you pick a lawyer. You want a lawyer that actually goes to the big dance, that goes to trials and actually tries cases, and you're gonna find out that not every lawyer does that. A lot of lawyers say they do it, but they don't really do it. It's not as common as everybody would think. I just know that most of those advertisers you see out there, none of them have even ever tried a case. Probably none of them have even taken a deposition, which is during the phase of a lawsuit when you're able to ask another party questions under oath. So you need a good lawyer. The last one, number 4, is credibility. I always say this, but I'm a professional storyteller. Credibility of the parties is one of the biggest factors. I always ask this in voir dires and trials is, has everybody not been in the situation where they've had 2 loved ones or friends come to them with an issue and they ask them to decide it, right? And when doing that, us as humans, we instinctually, judge people. We look at their body posture, whether they're making eye contact or not, the tone of their voice, how soft, everything, all of that comes into account. So just think about it. If you had this little stereotypical sweet grandma who bakes apple pies, the people are gonna love her. And when you see all those things come into account, you got a good photo, you got some law on your side, you got a kick-ass lawyer, and you got the grandma baking apple pies, that case is gonna settle, it's gonna settle quick, and it's gonna settle for a high dollar amount. So again, I hope this is informative. Tag your friends, share the video. Tune in next Friday, April 6th, 2018, obviously, and for another episode of Facebook Live with me, Big B, the anti-lawyer. And tune in. I'm coming in on Fox Sports Radio. We're going to be talking about the FBI investigation into the NBA. So tune into that as well. That's on iHeart, Kiss FM. So until April 6th, 2018, 11 a.m., this is me, Big B, the anti-lawyer.